Many people have been saying that Dr. Benjamin Carson was one of the big winners at last week's GOP presidential debate. Here are a few of his highlights. Take a look.
We've gotten into this mindset of fighting politically correct wars. There is no such thing as a politically correct war. And the left, of course, will say Carson doesn't believe in the Geneva Convention. Carson doesn't believe in fighting stupid wars. I was asked by an NPR reporter once, why don't I talk about race that often? I said, it's because I'm a neurosurgeon. And she thought that was a strange response. And I said, you see, when I take someone to the operating room, I'm actually operating on the thing that makes them who they are. The skin doesn't make them who they are. The hair doesn't make them who they are. And it's time for us to move beyond that. I'm the only one to separate Siamese twins. The only one to operate on babies while they were still in the mother's womb. The only one to take out half of a brain, although you would think if you go to Washington that someone had beat me to it.
All right, joining me now, 2016 GOP presidential candidate, Dr. Benjamin Carson. All right, that was one of the great lines of all time in any debate about Siamese twins operating on a baby in a mother's womb and taking out half her brain. Can you survive without half your brain?
Actually, you can quite easily.
Yeah.
And children have plasticity, and the other half of the brain has the ability to take over the functions.
Yeah. You now are in third place according to the first debate poll that we've seen with 11%. Why do you think that's happened? Why are you surging? Why is Ted Cruz an insurgent Republican surging? Why is Donald Trump surging and Carly now surging? What do you think it says about the Republican Party?
Well, I hope it means that people are actually starting to listen to what the candidates themselves are saying, and they recognize a failed policy. You know, we've been going with Democrats and with Republicans for decades now, and they say wonderful things during elections, but they don't do anything. And we can't continue down that pathway, and I think people recognize that.
Yeah. You know, it was interesting. I read your comments on race, and why don't I talk about race? Explain what you meant by that, because I'm a neurosurgeon. You know, that was interesting to me.
Well, the point being, you know, so many people are very superficial, and they look at a person's external appearance, and they make a judgment based on that, when that has nothing to do with who that person is. It's the brain. That's what controls who we are. And we need to start thinking about what Dr. Martin Luther King said, the content of your character, not the color of your skin. So
that's a great observation. You know, it was interesting because obviously we've been watching Ferguson the last 2 days and tonight. Bernie Sanders had a rally, and this group, Black Lives Matters, actually took over the podium, and they allowed them to do it. Watch what happened.
Thank you, Seattle, for being one of the most progressive cities in the United States of America.
We are trying to be reasonable. We are trying to be reasonable.
We are reasonable.
We are trying.
My name.
The group actually took over his whole rally, and then Governor O'Malley, who's running as a Democrat, said Black lives matter, white lives matter, all lives matter, and then apologized for saying that. What was your reaction to that?
Well, my reaction is that we're looking and concentrating on the wrong things. What we need to be concentrating on are the solutions to the problem. We can sit here and point fingers at each other from now into doomsday, and all that's going to do is create more conflict. I think there are some who enjoy the conflict, who derive their power from the conflict, but we have got to be smarter than that and recognize that if we're going to solve these kinds of problems that are going on in our inner cities, you know, we need to think about introducing police officers into those communities early on so that little Johnny's first encounter with the police is one of somebody he likes, somebody who's playing ball with him, not somebody who's chasing him down the alley with a gun.
Let me ask you this. You're the soft-spoken candidate. Your personality probably very different than, say, Donald Trump's. You're now surging a little bit in the polls here. And I guess my question to you, you were asked about the issue of experience. Your background is not in politics. Does that matter? Can you take on the most powerful job in the entire world without that experience? And why do you think you can? Obviously, you think you can.
Well, the political class would have you believe that they are the only ones who can do it. No one else has the brain power to do it or the experience to do it. But what they forgot is that it is wisdom that will solve the problems. Now, I agree that it is important to have people around you who are experienced in lots of different areas. There is no one individual who knows everything. But that's a great difference when it comes to wisdom and knowledge. Wisdom is very hard to come across. There are a lot of fools who have PhDs.
I know a lot of them. Yeah. Well said, Dr. Carson. Thank you for being with us. Congratulations on the great debate you had. Appreciate you being here.
Thank you so much, John.